Caleb is a programmer at an internet company. He wins first prize in a lottery. This gives him the opportunity to spend a week at the lavish estate owned by Nathan Bateman, the CEO of his company. Caleb is airlifted to the estate in the mountains, which is incredibly remote, and is then instructed to follow the river to reach the mansion. When Caleb arrives at the house, the machine at the door calls out his name and then gives him a key. Caleb makes his way through the first floor of the house until he finally finds Nathan outside exercising. Nathan is a muscular guy with short hair who tries to make small talk with Caleb as they meet for the first time. Nathan explains to Caleb that the home is actually a research institution as he shows him around. Nathan is excited to discuss the findings of his research at his estate. However, Caleb must first sign the Blue Book non-disclosure agreement, which he initially finds difficult to do given the absurd demands placed on him. With a little convincing, Nathan is able to convince Caleb to sign the contract. Nathan queries Caleb about the Turing test after he signs the agreement. Caleb believes that a computer has successfully passed the test of artificial intelligence, AI, if a user is unaware that they are conversing with a machine. Caleb is then told that he will participate as a human in a Turing test to see if the artificial intelligence, AI, that Nathan constructed can pass it. Caleb, who is fascinated by the initiative, claims that it will be the history of the gods if it succeeds. When Caleb inspects the area outside of the chamber where Ava is kept before the first session, he discovers a gap in the reinforced glass wall barrier separating him from Ava. Ava appeared to be attempting to leave her room. Ava walks into Caleb's field of vision as he glances up. She has a machine-like body, but her face and hands are meant to look like those of a woman. Ava welcomes Caleb and explains that she has only ever met Nathan. When she inquires as to how many new people he has met, he responds, "None like her." He interrupts the discourse and informs her that they need to make small talk. He inquires as to her understanding of this term, and she replies that she is aware that it refers to overcoming any social awkwardness. Ava reveals to him that she is 1 and her age. She only mentions 1, although she does not specify in years or months. She responds that she has always known how to speak when Caleb asks her when she first learned to speak. Since Ava thinks that language is something that individuals learn, they discuss whether or not this is exceptional. In response, Caleb argues that it's possible that language is present from birth, and that what's learned is how to use language to carry on discussions. With that, their initial meeting is over. Caleb is discussing the session with Nathan since he is so intrigued by his meeting. As you sip your beer, together, he says to Nathan that speaking with Ava was like talking through a looking glass. Nathan only offers praise rather than continuing the conversation regarding what Caleb meant. Caleb tries to counter that it was a statement from someone else by adding that he is quotable and good with words. But Nathan cuts him off and changes the subject to himself. Nathan remembers when Caleb remarked that if he created a machine with consciousness once more, he wouldn't be a man, but a god. Caleb attempts to speak up, but Nathan shouts over him, frustrating him because he didn't say it exactly. Nathan goes on to say that if the test is successful, Caleb would have admitted that he is a deity. Caleb tries to speak up again, but Nathan simply ignores him. Caleb then expresses his displeasure with the way the test is set up, because to his knowledge, people are not supposed to see the robot? Since Caleb would have thought Ava was a human if he hadn't seen her, Nathan claims they have moved past that point. The ultimate test is not whether Ava can be proven to be a robot, but whether Caleb still thinks she has consciousness. Caleb concurs with his viewpoint. Later that night, when Caleb is unable to sleep, he chooses to use the monitoring device in his room to keep an eye on Ava. When the main generator is restarted, Caleb will be able to leave his chamber and continue watching her. When the electricity comes back on almost immediately, Caleb exits his room. As he walks down the hallway, he finds a wall lined with imitation faces. He walks into a space that has Jackson Pollock's painting Felt. Nathan, who is sipping a beer on a couch, startles Caleb as he tries to use a phone he finds. Nathan claims that the AVA procedures prevent him from using the phone. Caleb claims that a power outage prevented him from leaving his room. Nathan dismisses Caleb's worries, merely stating that they have been receiving them lately and that he is working to resolve the situation. Caleb returns to his room after feeling apprehensive about this brief talk. The following morning, a woman enters Caleb's room uninvitedly and leaves him a tray of coffee without speaking to him or making eye contact. Caleb enters the area where Nathan is weightlifting outside. He regrets having let Hiyoko stay in his room, but he didn't want Caleb to get too much sleep. They talk about the next meeting. Ava begins their next session by showing him drawings that she has made. She draws every day, but she's frustrated since she has no idea what the pictures are. She then switches the subject and inquires about Caleb's interest in becoming her buddy. She does, however, mention how she feels their chats are lopsided, since she doesn't know anything about him, and he wants to know everything about her. He continues by discussing himself and his personal life. She continues talking to him while she walks around, only pausing to look him in the eye when he describes how his family were killed in a vehicle accident. He describes in detail how he was in the car when it happened and how he spent a lot of time in the hospital. When Ava apologizes to him, she does it with a sad expression on her face and regret in her voice. He claims it's no big deal, and that shortly after he started coding, he excelled at it. Ava compares him to Nathan, while switching her expression from apologetic to neutral. Caleb nods in agreement, but immediately declares that he is not like Nathan, because Nathan has accomplished so much more in the coding industry. When Ava asks Caleb whether he likes Nathan, Caleb responds that he does. When Caleb is asked if he thinks Nathan and Caleb are friends, Caleb says he does. She elaborates on the issue of Nathan being a good friend to Caleb. Caleb struggles to come up with the appropriate response, since he is confused of how to respond. Suddenly, the power goes out. Ava tells Caleb in a whisper that he shouldn't trust Nathan because he can't hear or see the dialogue. The electricity is restored before Caleb can ask Ava what she meant. Ava swiftly switches the subject to literature so that Nathan won't wonder what might have been said when the power was off. Caleb needs a moment to process what happened, but then he agrees with what Ava was saying about reading. Caleb discovers that Kyoko doesn't speak any English at dinner. Nathan claims it is an additional security precaution because she won't understand the projects he works on. Nathan discusses the power outages he's been experiencing. Caleb questions Nathan's decision not to have the technicians return to repair the generator. Because of all the security precautions and the fact that after the last job he had all those men killed, Nathan claims it is too tough to get somebody to come fix it. Caleb raises an anxious eyebrow at Nathan as he waits for the punchline. Nathan simply smiles shakily. Nathan then inquires about the session, to which Caleb responds with his narrative. Nathan is curious as to what was stated when the electricity went off. Caleb informs him that Ava remained silent while tensely eating his food. Nathan is shocked, but he holds back. Ava tells Caleb in the following session that she is never allowed to leave the room she is imprisoned in. When he asked her where she would want to go, she responded that she would like to go to a busy crossroads so she can see plenty of people. She likes this idea and suggests that they go together after Caleb explains that this is known as people watching. Caleb grinned and told her they were going on a date. She orders Caleb to close his eyes and walks to her closet where she dons a dress jumper and wig. She returns to Caleb after getting dressed to show him her new look, and he says that she looks good. This response makes Ava happy, and she declares that she would wear that on their date. Regarding what Ava had said and done, Caleb feels perplexed. He questioned Nathan in the prior session as to why he would give an AI a sexuality when they don't need a gender. Caleb continues to disagree with Nathan over the topic despite Nathan's explanation that it is necessary for gender and sexuality to exist. Caleb claims that Nathan made Ava attracted to him through programming. Caleb recalls an experiment he had to complete in his undergraduate AI course dubbed Mary in the Black and White Room during the 4th session. He talks of a color specialist scientist who lived in a black and white room and had never seen color. She was born there and had lived there alone her entire life. So when the scientists went outside for the first time, she at last understood what colors felt like. Ava connects with the scientist and imagines herself alone in a world of black and white as Caleb relates the tale. Caleb informs Ava that Mary in the black and white chamber is a machine and is human when she exits after the story is over. Ava only looks at Caleb, unmoved and solemn. Caleb then informs Ava that he was brought there to put her to the test. He asks her if she knew, to which she replies that she didn't. When the power goes out, Caleb takes advantage of the situation by questioning Ava about why she told him not to trust Nathan. She responds that Nathan lies about everything. Caleb is still perplexed as to why there are so many power outages and suspects Nathan is orchestrating them. However, Ava informs him that she is the one causing the power outages because she has the ability to reverse the power flow when charging herself. Caleb begins to realize that he was not chosen by chance to attend the estate after winning the lottery. On a hike near a waterfall, Caleb confronts Nathan about this. Nathan claims he chose Caleb because he was confident he would ask all the right questions. Kyoko is standing in the room, staring at the Jackson Pollock painting. Caleb walks in and tries to catch her attention. He walks up to her, places his hands on her shoulders, and asks where Nathan is. She doesn't seem to understand and stares at Caleb. When Kyoko begins to unbutton her blouse, he continues to ask for Nathan. I couldn't stop staring at Caleb. Nathan casually walks in and reminds Caleb that he is wasting his time talking to her, but he was not going to waste his time. Nathan begins dancing with her, and the room turns red. Music begins to play, and Kyoko begins to dance. Nathan joins her in a choreographed dance, while Caleb stares at them as if they're insane. Ava asks Caleb a series of questions during the next session. Everything appears to be fine until she asks Caleb what will happen to her if she fails the test. He has no direct answer, and the power goes out. Ava asks Caleb if he wants to be with her as the power goes out. She doesn't give him a chance to respond, and instead declares her desire to be with him. Outside, Caleb and Nathan are drinking and talking about Ava when Caleb discovers that Nathan is going to create another model after Ava. Nathan describes the process of downloading her mind and unpacking the data. He will also erase her memories while keeping the same body. Caleb realizes that this process will essentially destroy Ava, so they return to the facility, where Nathan is still drinking on the couch. Caleb is watching him from across the room. When Nathan passes out from intoxication, Caleb takes Nathan's keycard and goes to Nathan's computer. He pulls up old video footage from when Nathan created the other AI models before Ava. Nathan is seen in the video with several female robots. The final robot is shown yelling at Nathan, asking him why she's in there, and pounding on the door with her hands until her arms have completely fallen off. Caleb is shocked by what he sees. Kyoko is undressed on a bed when Caleb walks into the room. He goes to the closets and opens each one, revealing the other AI models. Nathan awakens to find that Caleb has left the room. Kyoko realizes that Caleb is telling the truth and peels back layers of her artificial skin, revealing that she too is a robot. Nathan stumbles through the house, attempting to find his bedroom. When attempting to open a door, he cannot locate his keycard and believes he has misplaced it. As he falls to the floor, the electrical door opens and Caleb steps out. Nathan informs him that he has misplaced his key. Caleb kneels next to Nathan, holding the keycard, and tells him he dropped the key. Nathan is duped by this trick because he is extremely drunk. After recounting the previous events and seeing the image of Kyoko in his mind, Caleb goes into the bathroom and walks to the mirror. He feels his skin and looks over his face before taking out his shave razor and pulling out one of the blades. He moves the blade to his wrist and slashes himself, leaving a deep gash. He then examines the inside of the gash to ensure that he is a human and not an AI. Caleb is unmoved by the situation and proceeds to smear his blood all over the mirror and stare at it. As he stares at the mirror, rage fills him until he punches the mirror because the truth of the AI has left him confused as to what was real and what was machine. Another camera was hidden behind the mirror. Kyoko was watching what Caleb had done to himself. At the next session, he suggests to Ava that they turn off the power. Ava turns off the power and listens to Caleb about Nathan's plans to practically kill Ava when he reprograms her. Ava is scared and wants his help to get her out. He tells her that they'll wait until the Nathan is drunk and blacks out. Then Caleb will take Nathan's keycard and reprogram the security protocols. He will change it so the doors will not remain locked during the power cut, but will open. Ava must initiate a power outage at 10 p.m., and she agrees to do so. Nathan enters the kitchen the next morning and greets Caleb. He reminds Caleb that it is his last day, and that the helicopter will pick him up the next morning. Nathan says he enjoyed having Caleb at his estate. Caleb cheerfully thanks Nathan for his hospitality. Caleb walks to the fridge and pulls out a bottle to pour Nathan a drink to celebrate his stay. Nathan refuses the drink. Convinced that Nathan does not want the drink, he attempts to offer him a beer, but Nathan declines. Nathan has been drinking excessively and wishes to detox. Caleb is defeated and drinks alone. Nathan changes the subject to Ava, who is wondering if she passed the test. Caleb agrees quietly that Ava had passed. Nathan is pleased with this response and returns to an earlier discussion about whether Ava was pretending to like Caleb. Nathan observes that Ava most likely pretended to like Caleb because she saw him as a way out. He asks Caleb to accompany him out of the kitchen so he can show him something. Kyoko enters Ava's room. Ava inquires as to her identity. Kyoko remains silent as they stand in silence. Nathan is displaying footage of Caleb on his computer. He admits to having a battery-powered camera in Ava's room. During the power outages, Nathan was able to see and hear everything that was said between Ava and Caleb. Nathan is not angry. Instead, he explains that the real test, Caleb, was not available. He gave her Caleb as her only hope of escaping. She was expected to use her charm and emotions to persuade Caleb to assist her. Caleb is enraged and avoids eye contact with Nathan. He understands that Nathan didn't choose him because he was good at coding. He was chosen because of his search engine, which showed his interests, that he had no girlfriend, and that he was morally good. Nathan sits next to Caleb and confirms that the test was successful. At that point, the power goes out, and Nathan asks Caleb how he thought the escape plan would work. He laughs at the plan, convinced that he has caught Caleb. Caleb, on the other hand, reveals to Nathan that he suspected he had been spying on them. The day before, Caleb got him drunk and reprogrammed everything. When the power comes back on, Nathan stands up and walks back to his monitor to check on Ava. As Ava walks out of her room, she has left her room. She walks past the same wall of face replicas that Caleb did. She looks at one of the faces and compares it to her own. Nathan is watching all of this from his monitor as Kyoko walks out into the hall and Ava faces her. Nathan, enraged, turns and punches Caleb, knocking him out and grabbing a dumbbell weight while staring at the monitor. Ava and Kyoko are standing face to face, taken over by fury. Ava leans over and whispers something to her, but it is inaudible. At that moment, Ava holds Kyoko's hand while Kyoko holds a knife in her other hand. The two women exchange understanding glances. Nathan enters the corridor, and both women look at him but say nothing. He orders Ava back to her room, and she wonders if he'll ever let her out. Nathan lies and says he will. Ava knows he is lying, and begins to walk towards him. He orders her to stop, but she ignores him and begins running towards Nathan. He's terrified as he yells at her to stop. She charges straight at him, knocking him to the ground and attempting to choke him. Nathan dominates her by standing over her. Nathan brings the weight down to hit Ava with a hateful look. She blocks the blow with her arm. Nathan tries to drag Ava back to her room after breaking her arm, but Kyoko stabs him in the back. He spins around and punches Kyoko in the face. Kyoko's jaw snaps open, revealing her robotic face. As Kyoko falls to the ground, Ava grabs the knife from Nathan's back and stabs him in the stomach. Nathan walks away from Ava, wide-eyed, but he doesn't get far before collapsing to the ground and collapsing against the wall. Ava walks up to him and sits down next to him. She reaches over and takes his keycard from him as he breathes his last breath. Ava returns to Caleb and asks him to stay in Nathan's room while she explores the same closets that Caleb discovered filled with the other robot bodies. Ava takes the robot's arm to repair herself, and she begins removing the synthetic skin from the robot to put on her body. When she's finished, she'll have the body of a female human, just like Kyoko. She gets dressed and walks out of the room. Caleb is still locked in the room. He calls out to her, but she does not respond. She looks down the corridor at the bodies of Kyoko and Nathan. Ava walks to the exit door from the hallway and enters the keycard. She leaves the estate and walks outside for the first time, taking everything in. Caleb is desperately trying to get out of the room but is having no success. Ava finds her way to the helicopter and departs from the world she once knew. In the end, Caleb is left in the room, and Ava makes her way to the city.